On an assembly line in an auto factory, thousands of cars of the same make and model are made. The specs of these cars don't change much when they're shipped all over the world. Some cars, on the other hand, are only made in small numbers for people who love to collect rare cars. Today, we're going to look at some of the most rare cars ever made. First, Dodge Coronet Convertible, over $200,000, and Venom GT World's fastest edition, $1.25 million. Dodge has a long history with the Coronet. Muscle Car Club says that the Coronet was first made in the middle of the 1950s. It was supposed to be a mid-size car when it was first made. Over time, it became clear, though, that the Coronet could be more. At one point, the car was no longer for sale. When it came back, it looked meaner and sleeker, and it could be changed into a different shape. The 1970 Coronet RT is the rarest because only 2 convertibles were made. They're proud of their 425 brake horsepower V8 Hemi engine. Supercar makers are always trying to make their cars the fastest, which is why Hennessy made a world's fastest edition of the Venom GT. People say that the car can go as fast as 270.4 miles per hour. John Hennessy, who started the company, also said that the supercar speed record was set on the same runway at the Kennedy Space Center where the space shuttle landed. The world's fastest edition was only made in 3 units, making it one of the rarest cars ever. Next, 1969 ZL1 Camaro, around $1 million, and Aston Martin Bulldog, approximately $1.3 million. Only 69 ZL1 Camaros were ever made, which makes this one really unique. Even more interesting, this car has a 430 horsepower V8 engine, which is said to be way underrated. Most experts agree that the engine can make more than 500 horsepower. Now, that's a lot more than what it costs to buy a few muscle cars today. Haggerty says that in 2018, a ZL1 Camaro was sold for $770,000. You can expect to pay a lot more today, though. In fact, you might pay more than $1 million. This Aston Martin concept is 40 years old, which makes it one of the oldest models out there. The Bulldog was first made to show that a factory could make a supercar and roll it off the assembly line. It has a 5.3-liter V8 engine that is said to have a brake horsepower output of 700. Theoretically, the car should be able to go faster than 200 miles per hour, and the British company Classic Motor Cars said earlier this year that it would show that it can. Moving on, W Motors Lycan Hypersport, over $3 million, and 1927 to 1933 Bugatti Type 41 Royale Kellner Coupe. W Motors always planned for the Lycan Hypersport to be a limited edition car. It's also known as the first hypercar that the company ever made. From 2013 to 2017, only 7 of these were made, which makes them pretty rare. The car's first model was shown at the 2019 Qatar Motor Show. Under the hood is a mid-rear mounted flat-6 boxer engine that makes 780 horsepower at 7,100 RPM and 708 pound-feet of torque. The Bugatti Royale Kellner Coupe is one of the world's rarest cars. Ettore Bugatti chose to make 25 Type 41 Bugatti Royale Kellner Coupe cars between 1927 and 1933. He planned to sell them to the royal families of Europe, but only 7 of these stylish cars, which were 21 feet long and had a huge 12.7-liter double-straight engine, were made. The Type 41 Bugatti Royale is one of the world's largest 2-door coupes. Let's compare the car to a Rolls-Royce to make it easy to judge. The Rolls-Royce Phantom of today is 20% shorter and 25% lighter than the Bugatti Type 41. Because of the Great Depression, European royals could not afford to buy these stylish and luxurious cars at the time. In 7th and 8th, we have 1951 to 1953 Jaguar XK120C and 1954 Oldsmobile F88. The Jaguar XK120C is hard to miss when car fans think of the rarest sports cars in the world. The racetracks were crazy about this rare Jaguar car. The 1951 and 1953 Le Mans 24-hour races were won by these rare sports cars, which are also called C-types, where the C stands for competition. In the present day, Jaguar XK120C cars are owned by private people. At an auction in California, the car was sold for $13.2 million. Another rare gem in the world of cars is the Oldsmobile F88. The Oldsmobile F88 was a 2-seater concept car that looked like it was from the future. It came out when cars were still very new. In the 1950s, Harley Earl worked on his car. He and his ancestors worked together to make this bold, futuristic, and athletic Oldsmobile F88 model. The F88 was a concept car that was meant to be a luxury convertible with a fiberglass body. It was a true American muscle car. This was the rarest car in the world. It had a 5.4-liter V8 engine with 250 horsepower, which was great for the time. The car also had a spare tire behind the rear bumper and a radio between the driver's and passenger seats, both of which were considered new 60 years ago. Unfortunately, because it didn't sell well, the car that gave GM ideas for the future was canceled when it was still just an idea. Still, 4 of these cars were made before the project was stopped. Only one of them made it. In 2005, the only Oldsmobile F88 car that was still around was sold at auction for $3.3 million. Next up, 1956 Aston Martin DBR1 and 1957 Ferrari 250 Testarossa. In the collection of the rarest cars in the world, the Aston Martin DBR1 is another well-known car. The car won the 24 Hours of Le Mans for the first time 60 years ago, and it's still thought of as the best Aston Martin performance car. The DBR1 was a rare masterpiece of a classic car. It was put together by a small group of focused engineers. This car was better than any other car at the time. To date, there are only 5 models left, and RM Sotheby's sold one at a Monterey auction in 2017 for a huge $22.5 million. There are a few unique Ferrari cars that are hard to find. Also called the 250 TR from 1957 is the best. During the 1950s and 1960s, only 34 of these race cars were made. They were made so that racers with powerful engines like the 500 TRC could have more control over their cars. The 250 TR won 10 World Sports Car Championships. In 1958, 1960, and 1961, it won 3 24 Hours in Le Mans. In 2014, the car was sold for an incredible $39.8 million. This made the Testarossa the second most expensive Ferrari ever. Moving on, the 1961 Ferrari 250 GT California SWB Spider and 1964 Ferrari 250 GTO. The 250 GT California SWB Spider is another rare Ferrari car. The Ferrari 250 GT California SWB Spider was made from 1953 to 1964. It was used in hit movies of the 1980s, such as Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This was the 2-seater Grand Prix car that Ferrari was known for. When the car came out in the early 1960s, it really turned heads. Scaglietti and Pininfarina, 2 of the most famous names in Italian coach building at the time, designed the Ferrari 250 GT California SWB Spider. Still, the car had more to offer than just style and good looks. A 3.0 V12 engine was what drove the Ferrari. There were only 16 of them. At an auction in 2016, a Ferrari 250 GT California SWB Spider sold for $18 million, which is about AED $66,112,560. The Ferrari 250 GTO is another rare car in the world. The well-known Enzo Ferrari made this rare sports car. From 1962 to 1964, the Ferrari 250 GTO race car was made. A Tipo V12 engine gave the car its power. 33 Ferrari 250 GTO cars had the Series 1 bodywork from 1962 to 1963. 3 had the Series 2 bodywork from 1964, which was similar to the Ferrari 250 LM, and 3 330 GTO models were limited editions with bigger engines. In June 2018, the 1964 Ferrari 250 GTO sold for a record-breaking $70 million, making it the most expensive Ferrari car ever. Finally, 1970 Porsche 917 and the 2008 Maybach Excelero. The well-known Porsche 917 is known all over the world for many things. The first is that Porsche won its first Le Mans 24-hour race with the 917 in 1970 and 1971. Then it was used in Le Mans, a movie by Steve McQueen. The Porsche 917 was powered by a 4.9-liter flat 12 engine of the type 912, which gave it a top speed of 240 miles per hour and a speed of 0 to 62 miles per hour in only 2.3 seconds. In 2017, the famous race car sold at auction for $14 million. The German show Cobra 11 and a Jay-Z rap video called Last One brought attention to the supercar Maybach Excelero. In 2005, the high-performance car was made by the Maybach Motor & Bow GmbH, a branch of Daimler Chrysler. The car's engine is a twin-turbo V12 with 690 horsepower. Also, the supercar can go from 0 to 62 miles per hour in just 4.4 seconds. It can reach its top speed of 180 miles per hour. American rapper star Birdman paid $8 million for the car in 2008. Unfortunately, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, cheers!